Supersonic. Super destructive. Unresistible.
What's coming your way is just what it seems. She's going to blow you to smithereens. No later can find her location, 'cause her name is Annihilation, and she's gonna find you wherever you are. Your lifeline is short, much shorter than mine. Deadly precision will leave you no time. Sun, water, merciless and seeker. Your body's glowing red to lead her, and she's gonna find you wherever you are.
Welcome, Daddy, to the art of hitting your opponent with a planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Flame, for the day, forever, for all time, on the art of hitting your opponent with a planet. And today, we're talking about Walkin and Talkin. That's right, Jack, Walkin and Talkin. I was on my good friend Chief out of Kula Kula's radio show the other day, and we briefly touched on this, the art of walking and talking, and how it's going away, and how it's almost a lost art, and the importance of doing it, of doing it for matches. And the premise is sort of, I get asked all the time in the locker room by younger guys out there trying to break into biz, or they already in the biz. Like, Jim Flame, you got any advice for me? How do I get better? Blah, blah, blah. And I say, I have no idea, Daddy. No idea. I don't even know what I'm doing. But the least I can do is tell you how I do it and tell you how we talk about it. That's right. The art of walking and talking, baby. Now, what is that? Well, some of you might call it calling an entire match in the ring on the fly, and it seems so difficult, but it really is not. I'm just going to explain to you a couple things today that can help you on your journey, learn how to do this. And why is it important that you know what this is? Well, from my experience and from many others' experiences, we talk about this stuff all the time, Daddy, is the matches come out, they turn out more organic. Wrestling's a struggle. Always will be, always has been, always will remain. That was a tautology, wasn't it? But wrestling's a struggle. It should look like it. It shouldn't look like a dance. It should look like a struggle. When you're out there and you're having to walk and talk with your opponent, you're going to look like you're struggling. Not because you don't know what you're doing, but because this is how we do it. Now, the best way to explain this is I'm going to break a match down for you real quick into 3 epochs. Epochs are essentially marks in history or sections in history. Everybody knows from wrestling school that you have the opener, which includes the shine. Then you have your heat, which is sort of a reverse shine. It's where the bad guy really comes out as the bad guy. Then you have your finish. It's 3 parts. Now, within each individual part, a number of things can happen. A whole lot of things can happen. And what I notice these days is a lot of people want to go out there and talk about all these little things that's happening inside of the boxes. And people get confused, and matches look contrived and phony. That's not what we're trying to do here, folks. So my advice is, think of matches in these 3 sections or epochs. There's only so much you can do within each section. Like during the shine, the sole job of the heel is to get the babyface over. Give the people a reason to sympathize with the babyface. So when you go into the heat, they're actually going to care that you're knocking the snot out of them. Now, how do you do that? The go-to way to do that is the good guy out-wrestles the bad guy. The good guy out-wrestles the bad guy. Now, the bad guy gets frustrated. The bad guy realizes real quick that he ain't going to be able to wrestle that dude, Daddy. So he's going to have to bring the good guy down to his level. How he does that is through nefarious means. Maybe a little skullduggery is what they used to call it. But you got to cheat, man. You got to cheat. You got to get the crowd to sympathize. Establish that the good guy is the better wrestler, the superior wrestler. And the only way you can get over on him is to cheat. That's all you got to do. Now, within that box as well, a number of things could happen. But the main goal is to put the good guy over as the better wrestler. Then you work into your heat. Now, this is where the bad guy cheats. Just cheats like a mother you-know-what. Everybody in the building sees it but the referee. Now, a good way, the way that I've chosen to do this, and it's a real easy way, is bam, hit your opponent. Get your heat. Walk around for a couple seconds. Take a loop around the ring. Get your heat. Interact with the crowd a little. Come back. Boom. Punch. Now, why does a punch work so effectively? Well, because a punch is technically illegal. Now, because professional wrestling also abides by the common law, the rule of the punch has been accepted over the years because over time referees have called it less and less. But that doesn't mean the referee can't get in there and demand that the heel opens his hand up a little bit or tells him to stop punching. But nobody's going to get disqualified for it. But it's a great way to generate heat because you got the referee in there saying, hey, there's a way you got to do this, and you're still doing it the other way, and you're complaining that you're not doing it the way he says you're doing it, the way you're obviously doing it, the way that everybody in the building sees you doing it. That's going to generate heat, real easy heat. And I defy anyone to try that and do it effectively and not get the reaction you're looking for from the audience. The same reaction you're going to get doing anything else. Now, within that epoch, the heat, you can have what we call hope spots. Something simple like sunset flip. Or if you want to do something complex, that's where it's okay behind the scenes to talk about it a little bit. Get that established because ain't nobody trying to get hurt. You want to make sure you're on the same page. Have a conversation with your opponent about that. If you have a complex hope spot, get that dealt with before the match. And regulate it down to a code word. We'll talk about that in another episode. Carney's another one of the things that's sort of a dying. It's like the Latin language. It's dying. Nobody's really using it. But deduce your hope spots down to a simple signal or a simple word. Now, I'm not going to tell you what word I use, but it's a little bit funky, and sometimes people laugh when they actually hear it. But they still don't know what I'm talking about. So have two of them things worked out. Simple, complex, difficult, whatever. Just have it worked out. Don't just try to stick with two for now. Then you work into your finish. I like hot finishes. I like finishes that bam, just come out of nowhere. Good guy pops up, boom, 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 boom. Done. Finished. You get your pop. You get the crowd while they're hot, while the crowd's rising. You want them to explode at the end. You can do that with a roll up. If you do it right, if the timing's right. You can do it with anything, But go from your heat directly into the finish. Don't lollygag and screw around and all that stuff. Go directly into the finish. There's an exception to every rule. And again, I implore everyone and I entreat you to talk to others about this. Everyone's got their own opinion about how this stuff works, but this is what works for me. 3 epochs. Shine, heat, finish. Bam! That crowd's going to pop for you every time. And the job of the heel is not to sell T-shirts. You're trying to sell the babyfaces T-shirts. You're going to get yours in the end. Believe that. There ain't no reason to go beyond the Call of Duty. And, try to put yourself over. But I believe it's really important to stick by this. You open and shine, you heat, you finish. Because, for one, people who walk in off the street should be able to understand what you're doing without giving it much thought. They should be able to walk in on the heat and tell right away, that's the bad guy. That is the bad guy. That's the good guy. I should feel sorry for the good guy. Let's cheer him on. You know, some people might call my method old school, or something that's dying or just not useful anymore. But you know what? Everywhere I wrestle, it doesn't matter. I've been to Ring of Honor and done this same. I'm not going to call it a routine, but the same box, and got huge freaking pops out of it. Perhaps in a room full of. I went to a Ring of Honor tryout. Wrestled about as old school of a match as you could see in modern times, and I had jaded wrestlers, some of the best unsigned talent, actually the best unsigned talent in the world, surrounding that ring, popping for that whole match. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying, I really believe classic wrestling can work in the modern times. You just got to do it. You just got to know how to do it. And I want to help people, at least to the best of my abilities, get there, because I really believe this stuff is the future. It's just not a part of the past. It is the future. Wrestling is the future. There's a place for it in the spot fests that are so rampant on the internet and television and all that other stuff. There's a place for this stuff. It's like the elephant in the room. You have too many spot fests, nobody's going to be impressed with that full 50 splash. Bring Jimmy Flame out there halfway into your card. Have me wrestle somebody. Have me get down with them. It's going to be good every time. It's going to be good. But like I said, ask around. Feel free to ask me if I'm ever in your locker room. Just let's talk, man. I love this business. I love talking about this business. I want everybody to succeed, achieve their goals. I mean, if you're a guy that likes to do flips, be the best damn dude out there that does flips. But please, at least learn how to walk and talk. I challenge everybody to go out there and call an entire match. You can take what I just talked about, set it up in 3 epochs. Don't even talk about what's going to happen within each window. Just go out there and make it happen. Just wrestle a basic match. I guarantee you're going to get equivalence in terms of pops, crowd reaction, what have you. You're going to get there. You're going to make a good match. Just imagine how lethal you could be as a talent if you took the walk and talk. If you learned how to do the walk and talk and you applied it to one of your crazy matches. Man, I would love to see something like that. Now, the last point about walking and talking, the reason why I think it's important is because you want to have an organic match. You want to have as organic of a match as possible. When you're forced to slow down, talk out loud, communicate with the referee, communicate, walking and talking, daddy. When you're forced to do that, your match is going to look more like a struggle. Because like I said before, wrestling is a struggle. It always has been, always will be. It's a struggle. That's what you're trying to portray. That's the exhibition, man. Get it. And you can get there by walking and talking, daddy. Well, I hope I've made myself clear on this episode. I hope it's useful. I love talking about this stuff. And again, I don't know everything in wrestling. I know very little. I know a little bit about marketing. But I know how to get out there and walk and talk, baby. And that's what I'm going to keep on doing until the wheels fall off. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, reach me on Facebook, JimmyFlame77, Twitter, at JimmyFlame77, and on the World Wide Web at www.JimmyFlameWrestling.com. Get a hold of me, daddy. Until next time, Jimmy Flame for the art of hitting your opponent with a planet. See you later, baby. Ow!
Problem solved, business done. From the Falkland shores to Vietnam, sun, water, Mercedes, seeker. Your body's going erect to leader, and she's gonna find you wherever you are.
forget to visit JimmyFlameWrestling.com, Daddy. JimmyFlameWrestling.com.